A to B, the movement of the curve is literally that line moving to that line.
hmm
Is that clear?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. All right. Let's see if there's any other. Yeah, so here's kind of the opposing question to that. So let me go to question 3 next,
Okay.
because it's exactly what we just talked about. So let's see if we can make this clear. Suppose there is an increase in the price of wood. Okay, again, they're talking about price.
hmm
Okay, price does not shift the supply curve.
Okay.
Okay, well, this one has, okay, so I gotta be careful here, because because wood is an input to making pencils, we presume.
hmm
So we got to be careful here how we answer this. So notice there are two answers. There's the answers where it's a shift of the curve, and the
Yeah.
last two are movements along the curve. Okay, and you have to be able to accommodate, you know, both of those. So the issue here, though, is that wood is an input to pencils.
Uh-huh.
If it was a increase in the price of pencils, that would be a movement along the curve.
Sorry, what did you just say?
I said since the price of, if it were the price of pencils, that's a
Uh-huh.
movement along the curve.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
But
so
since
like,
it's wood, it's a gonna be
and because
shift.
wood is an input to pencils, that means it's a shift of the curve, movement of the
Okay,
curve.
okay.
Okay, now what does this mean? Well, you've got to put this in context. So if wood gets more expensive, let's say you and I owned a pencil making company, and
hmm
we got to buy wood for our pencils, and now we're paying more for wood as an input. Can we make the same number of pencils at the same
Um,
price if our inputs are more?
no.
No way. We actually produce less. So the increase in price causes less supply, which shifts the curve to the left.
Okay.
It's kind of like right now, suppose there's an increase in the price of eggs. We would expect the supply curve for breakfast foods to
Shift left.
shift left, like more expensive. People are going to eat more oatmeal now, things like that.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Clear?
no, I get that one.
Okay. Okay. Let me just see if there's any more like it. Um, they then move to two curves, it looks like. Um, all right, we'll just do them in order. So let's go to 2. If these are the only two sellers in the market, then the market quantity supplied at a price of $6 is. So if you do your typical online homework here, will have you add up the two curves. Okay.
Uh-huh.
But here we don't have to do that. We just have to find what's $6, how many is produced for $6 in A. So this is price on the left. So we can see that it's 10. And for B, do the same thing. Go over till you hit the curve. And you find that there are 12 that are being produced. So the total number of units together, because they're saying the market in this problem, the market is A plus B.
Okay.
Like those are the two people. Like you own, you're selling something, I'm selling something, we constitute the entire market. And so it's like, well, how many are you selling at $6? You're selling 10, I'm selling 12 at $6. The market quantity is the sum, the addition of the two, 10 plus 12.
Okay.
So if it asked it at like $8, you know, would go hit it the curve at a different spot. You'd be making 14. I'd be making 16.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Okay.
But where in the question would it say to use like what would give you the key to like add both of those?
Market quantity.
Oh, okay.
Market quantity. Okay. Yeah, and you know, a key strategy here is really to underline, highlight, you know, whatever you can to make sure that you are, you know, using the right numbers.
And those are just two different markets.
Well, the market is this. This is the
Okay.
market, which is unrealistic, right? Like, you know, if you want to do something in this world, there's not like, it's not like there's McDonald's and Wendy's. There's 10 burger chains plus local places, plus fast casual, plus you can go to a fine dining restaurant and get a burger, right? Like
Mhm.
the market is never this simple. But um that's the key word. The key less market means to add up the firms that are there.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? Anything else to cover?
No, I got that one.
Okay. Question 4. All right, assume that quantity of some good demanded, sorry, demanded. This is demand. I don't know why they don't just say that, but this is demand for D
Okay.
is 80 minus 2p. Okay, so this is why you took some of those previous math courses. So you're supposed to know that this graph here, it has it's normally an mx plus b form. Okay, but it's kind of written a little wonky. It's in reverse. If you change it minus 2p plus 80, okay, you get it in more of the form you want. But and this is why this is so frustrating for me.
This
Quantity
one seems confusing.
quantity is really the x variable. So you really actually need to solve these for p.
Okay.
Okay, so you know, even though I just said all that, you really have to solve it for p. So to do that, you add 2p to both sides. Okay, and I'm just come down here and do that. So it's 2p plus qd equals 80. Subtract the qd from both sides. This is just basic manipulation of the equation. Nothing odd here. I'm going to go minus qd plus 80, and then you divide both sides by 2. So p is
Mhm.
equal to minus 1/2 qd plus 40. Okay, so the reason it has to be in this way, think of q as your x and p as your y. That's why you have to do it this way, because you can't graph it otherwise. So in terms of this graph here, the slope is the number in front of q, which is minus 1/2. That's the mx plus b, if you will, mx
Mhm.
plus b, and then the b value is 40. So again, like all that's saying is graphically, I'll just call that 40, and then it hits over here at 80. You don't need these numbers, but I'm just giving them to you. And then we'll do the same thing for the other one. So the QS equals 2p minus 20. We want to solve for p, so we're going to add 20 to both sides. QS plus 20 equals 2p. And then we're going to manipulate the equation. I'm going to put 2p on the left, QS plus 20 on the right, divide by 2. P equals 1/2 QS plus 10. Okay.
Mhm.
So graphically, again, the slope is 1/2, the b value is 10. So if that's 10, you know, this thing's going to have something like that. So they're going to intersect somewhere in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is just to help remind you of the graphs, you know, supply and demand. Okay. They want the price and the quantity respectively.
Mhm.
So I did make this slightly more complicated than I probably should have, but I wanted you to see the graphs. To actually solve this thing, you
Yeah.
actually just set the equations equal to each other. So we're going to do that now here. Okay, so like you can actually think of these as both being Q.
Okay.
So you set 80 minus 2p equal to 2p minus 20. And now you're going to solve for price. P is price.
Hmm.
So I'm going to add 2p to both sides. I'm going to add 20 to both sides. Equation. So this is 100 equals 4p. Divide by 4. So p equals 25. Okay, but that's only half the answer.
Yeah.
Actually, it is the full answer because the Q
Mm.
is the last one there. But if you needed to find Q, you could go to either equation and put in the 25 in for price, subtract the 20, 50 minus 20 is 30.
30.
Okay, so the graph is just there to kind of illustrate what's going on. There's a picture. Maybe there's a problem where you have to graph it. I don't know. But the price here is 25 and the quantity is 30 where they intersect.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
No, I'll have to look at that one again.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if there's another one like it.
It's fine though, yeah.
Uh,
Maybe question 7
7 is similar. Yes, good. Good find there.
or 12.
Let's do 7.
Okay.
All right, suppose the demand curve P equals 200 minus 2Q and the supply curve P equals 100 plus 3QS. What is the sum? Well, see, this one, unfortunately, this one's looking for sum of consumer and producer surplus in the market at the equilibrium price and quantity. So this one's a slightly different question. You still have to solve the two equations. So we could do that now if you would like.
Okay.
All right, so the set the two equations equals 300 minus 2Q equals 100 plus 3Q. So you can just drop the D, drop the S, and solve. So you're going to add 2Q to both sides. You're going to subtract 100 from both sides. So that's 200 equals 5Q. Is that okay, or do you need more explanation on that?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so you're going to divide by 5, and Q equals 40. Okay. And so we also need the price. So we're going to put 40 into one equation or the other. Let's use the one on the right here. P equals 100 plus 3Q. 3 times 40 is 220, like that.
Okay.
Okay, so, but what does that mean graphically? Well, it means that we got to go do the graph here. There's two curves. There's the supply curve and there's the demand curve. And that has to be like really clear, like those are the two. The quantity is 40 and the price is 220. Okay. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Now I got to go look at the picture of this, but the total surplus is this triangle here on the left. There's actually there's two triangles, but if you look at one, there's a big triangle. Let me just get the picture though of which one's on top, which one's on bottom. Okay, so the consumer surplus is up top and the producer surplus is on the bottom. Did you see that in class? Is that at all familiar? Maybe.
Well, we're gonna see it tomorrow in class,
No, that's
probably.
okay. Okay. Well, that's why it's a little foreign to you. Okay, so you have to find the area of this triangle. We'll do that in blue here. So the area of this triangle is one consumer surplus is 1/2 base times height. Okay, and it doesn't matter what you want to use, but this would be a good one to use for base. Consider that your base down there. So your base is 40. Because that's the place where it intersects. It's telling you that's 40. The height's a little more complicated. You're trying to find this up here. So you need to know which one was the demand curve and get the initial price up here. So that comes from the graph or the equation. So it looks like it's up here at 300. See how 300 is the initial value
Mhm.
for that one there. And that's why we're graphing it in the previous problem, so you would know. So the height here, the height is the 300 minus the 220. So that gives you your consumer surplus. And so similarly, we do the same thing for producer surplus. Let's get this value here. That's 80, half 80s, 40s. So that's like 1600.
Mhm.
Producer surplus is going to be this box down here. I'm sorry, this triangle down here. So the base is again 40. The height this time though, we gotta go find this value down here, and I believe it was 100 from the equation here. It's 100, yeah. So the height is 220 minus 100. So it looks like 220 minus 100 is 120. Half of 120 is 60. 40 times 60 is 2400. So they add the two of these add together. The total surplus is 1600 plus 2400,
Mhm.
4000. Hopefully that's an answer there. It is.
Yep.
All right, I need to step away for 10 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. So kind of like the last one, but you gotta graph it, you gotta do a bunch of things. Do you want us to do kind of another one kind of like that? I think there was a, like you said, 12.
Yeah, I think 12 is similar.
Sure, let's do it. All right, assume that the market for good X is defined as follows. Q, again, you can just say Q equals 64 minus 16p. The one with the negative is going to be the one that goes down. Okay.
Mhm.
Negative slope, because that's 16, negative 16 is the slope. The 16p is the positive slope, like that. So you still have to find the intersection of these two. You set them equal to each other.
Okay.
All right, so to solve, you're going to add 16p to both sides. 64 equals 32p. Divide by 32. So p equals 2. Okay, so that's the price here.
Mhm.
The quantity you get from putting it back into either equation. So we'll use that one on the right, the Q equals 16p, because it's easier. That's 16 times 2, that's 32. So what you have to be, this is what you got to remember. Well, which one's the consumer, which one's the producer surplus? And I don't have a good way to remember that. I always look it up, which means I don't, I haven't fully figured this one out, but this is the producer surplus down here, this bottom one. So you need the area of this triangle. So we'll call this the base and then the height. We need to know where the supply curve, the one going up and to the right, where it started. And so the B value here on this one is 0. because
Mhm.
it's really 16p plus 0. Okay, so there's your height. Your height is 2 minus 0. Producer surplus is 1/2 base, which is the 32, times the height, which is 2. And that gives you 32.
Okay.
Let me go back up, and I didn't mark this one in case you want to look at it later. You will get a question of some flavor of that on the test.
Okay.
So it's something to look at. All right. Where should we go from here? 5 back to 5. Any other
Yeah, we
questions
could do
catch your
that.
eye? Okay. 5 had like 3 charts to snip in. Okay, so let me just grab this first chart. Okay, so this is kind of like that problem where there was, person A or firm A, firm B, firm C, firm D. There is a total in the market. We were doing that, I think, a couple weeks ago. So the total in the market is 0. That's adding 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. The next one here is 300. And then 200, looks like 600. And then this one's probably going to be 900 because they're linear. 600, yeah, 900 here. So just adding up, the 4 A, B, C, and D to get this number here. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if we were to graph that, because that's important here, at a, where am I going to do this here? So at a price, we got to get I always get the labels right here. At a price of $0, okay, $0. Why does this look backwards to me? Okay, so at a price of $0, which is here, there's the demand of 0, but at $3, price $3, it's 300. $6, 600. Actually, I'm gonna have to do this. So it's sort of this linear graph here,
Mhm.
but this doesn't make any sense. This is, sorry, this is are these producers? Sorry, the number of cases. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the suppliers. That's why it's going up and to the right. Okay, now it says that there's a demand schedule given. So this is the other side of it. It's the, okay, the demand is, well, there's 1,200 at $0. At 3, there's 900. There's something going down like that. Okay. And
Mhm.
what you're really doing is taking your total here, and you're kind of lining it up to this one here, because see if we can do it right. So this doesn't line up great, but it's like let me switch this up here. Sorry, I'm trying to get this where it'll make some sense. All right, make this a little bigger. Okay, so think of this is the supply on the right, and this is the demand on the left. And
Okay.
there's a place where they come together. You see that?
Yeah.
They come together there at $6. So when the price is $6, the quantity demanded is 600, and the quantity supplied is 600. That's what it
Mhm.
means when they match there. All right. So that's the answer to this problem is that it's $6 in 600 cases, because that's where the two curves come together.
Okay. This is $6 and 600
Yes.
cases.
So this is number 6. It says during the last few decades in the United States, health officials argue that eating too much beef might be harmful to human health. As a result, there's been a significant decrease in the amount of beef produced. Which of the following best explains the decrease in production? So if you could just read that, if you could just say, like why is beef gone down as a result of this statement again here, and again we'll just read it. Health officials have argued that eating too much beef might be harmful to human health. So the government's telling you, hey, if you eat too much beef, it might be bad for you. As a result, there's been a significant decrease in the amount of beef produced.
Mhm.
The government doesn't produce the beef though, right? They're just the ones kind of giving information about it.
Yeah.
So like, you're a consumer. If the government tells you that it might be harmful to eat beef, what might you conclude from that?
And it's gonna, not as many people are gonna buy beef.
Yeah, you're gonna say, well, maybe I should have chicken instead.
Yeah.
There was an initiative a long time ago to eat more pork, the other white meat. It went away at some point, but the government was a big kind of proponent of that. You see that every once in a while for certain things, and the individuals pay attention here. I mean, they think about it. So the beef producers, while they might be concerned about the health of their customers, they're not going to produce less beef because they're going to produce, the suppliers always produce in this way. Meaning they're going to produce more as the price goes up.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Like if you sold a product and you could get more money for it, you're going to make more of them.
Yeah.
All right. But demand is the other way. Demand is like, well, the cheaper it is, I'll buy more. So there's that perfect equilibrium. The second answer, government officials concerned about the health ordered beef producers to produce relatively less beef. They really can't do that. I don't know how you feel about that, but really, I mean, the government doesn't have that much control over the industry. I mean, aside from shutdowns and things like that, I mean, that's not going to work. Anti-beef protesters have made it difficult for both buyers and sellers of beef to meet in the marketplace. Even in that case, they can still get around that. So the
Mhm.
only reasonable answer here is C, which is that individual consumers who are concerned with their own health, they just demand less. They say, you know what, I don't want as much beef anymore in my diet. So as a result, they're going to produce less. And that leads really to this next idea of shortages versus surplus.
Uh-huh.
You can imagine a shortage. We've seen those, especially recently with like eggs. The shortage is that demand is greater than supply. You want something more than it is available. If you ever been to like a concert, I assume there's a shortage. Demand is very high. There's only limited supply. Surplus is the other way. We've got too much supply and not enough demand. This
Yep.
is, sometimes people in like multi-level marketing stuff, they buy all these goods and then they have them stuck in their garage because there's not enough demand to match it.
Okay.
Okay. So really important here for question 8 for us to not look at the answers quite yet. Sometimes they're distracting because they're all the same following. So it
Yeah.
says, if supply and demand for a good both decrease, which of the following is true? So you gotta be very careful how you draw your curves here. So they sort of float them, supply and demand, they sort of just float. And then they move them. Actually, they move them to the left. So the supply went left and they call that S prime. That's the later one. Why did I do that? That's demand. Sorry, it's early. And then demand also moves left. Okay. But the thing is, the thing that's really unclear to students the first time they're seeing this is that, like, we don't know how big a movement it is. Like this second curve could actually move like a lot, right? We don't know. Or it can move a little. Your supply curve, similarly, it can move a little, or it can move a lot. Like we don't know. Right? Do you see that? Like we don't know the magnitude of the shift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because sometimes you answer these things by just looking at the graph and saying, oh, well, that must be true. So there's this new place here. Okay. And in this example, this is quantity, this is price. How does quantity change from the black to the red? Going this direction, how does the quantity change?
Sorry. Would the quantity be lower?
It is like if you made up numbers like, okay, that's 20 and that's 10, the quantity went lower. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me just move these curves around a little bit so you can see this. I'm going to do that in another space down here. So let me move the demand curve a lot and the supply
Mhm.
curve a lot. Did the quantity still go down? Like here's the new intersection of them.
Yes.
It still went down. Now let me move it a little bit and the other one not as much. Did the quantity still go down?
No.
Yes. Well, from where it originally started. It
Oh
originally was
yeah.
here. Yes. So the thing that you know for sure is quantity went down. Okay. Price is the harder one. Price is the one where it depends on the magnitude of the shifts here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like this one here is whatever. It's the same as the original price here. So I don't know. We'll call it like 20. Let's use 30 so we don't have that. But depending on where I move the curve, like if I move the demand curve this way, do you see now that this intersection point is a little bit higher?
Yeah. So the
And
price would be higher.
right, but I can also move it so that the price is lower. Do you see how the price would be lower
Yeah.
here? So this is the challenge of this problem is that you have to recognize that only one of these will actually always change in the one direction, meaning the quantity in this case,
Mm-hmm.
but not price. Price could go up or down depending on that. So when you look at the answers there, you're looking for the one that says quantity will go down, but we're not sure about price.
Okay. So the second and last one then.
That looks to be correct. Yeah. So now in terms of like, well, what should you expect for an exam? You should do the exact same analysis that we just did, but then do it for an
Mhm.
increase and try to draw the curves and see what changed, what didn't change.
Yeah.
Questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right, so here we go. New question.
Which question is that?
It's good. And I'm just going in order now, 9, unless I hear otherwise. So
Okay.
they're saying that you're going from A to B. So there's a couple of possibilities here. And this is, I don't know if you remember geometry, but there's like extra lines potentially. So
Mm-hmm.
here's possibility number 1 to go from A to B. You could be just on the demand curve.
Okay.
Like you could literally just be sliding along the demand curve, which is a change in price.
Yeah.
Okay. But you got to be careful. Which way is the change in price? Price is here, Q is here. So the price was, we'll say $5 and now it's $7. Did the price go up or down?
It went up.
It went up. So this third answer here, a decrease in the price of good X, that's wrong. It's actually an increase in the price. If that were the case, like if,
Yeah.
okay. So now the other possibility is that you could actually have shifted curves altogether. Okay. You could have gone from supply 1 to supply 2. And the reason I made that reference to geometry, it's because you often in geometry have extra lines, distracting lines, and from here, like all that happened is your supply curve shifted left.
Mhm.
It shifted, it went left. And that's how you move from A to B. So what causes a shift left of the supply curve? So now we got to go look the answers. An increase in the price of an input. So that's kind of our the wood pencils example.
Yeah,
The price of wood went way up. Are we going to make more or less pencils?
less.
Less. So that one's looking pretty good.
Mhm.
The increase in population generally moves things out. It's generally a good thing. An increase in the price of a substitute good. So if you could make pencils out of graphite, but that went up, that's no good for you either.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna like that. You wouldn't do that, I guess. The price, increase the price of complementary good. See that one's tough for me because if it's comp, but it doesn't, see, that does not affect A or affect X, because it's you're only looking at the good X, I suppose.
Yeah.
And same thing with the substitute, like it does not affect. So that would be my best answer here for this. These are exactly the kinds of questions you will see on the exam. So if you found this one really tough because you really did have to look at all of them, or you didn't know to draw
Mhm.
the curves, like you really want to pay attention to that this week in class.
So the second to last one then?
Yeah, no, I
Oh, the
believe
first one?
it's the first one. Yeah, that's my best. All right. Let's do 11 because it's kind of the most similar to what we just did, and hopefully that will
Okay.
maybe help here. Again, like you really got to draw the two scenarios here, which is that in this problem here, well, actually we'll take it back. So let me, like A to B, you don't know whether it's a shift in supply or a movement along the demand curve.
Mhm.
We don't know. And same thing, like from D to A, is it a movement along the supply curve or is it a shift of the demand curve? So let's look at this. The figure above represents the market for orange juice. There's an announcement by the American Heart Association that orange juice is good for your heart. Okay, so what that means is that people demand more OJ. And that's how you want to think of it. As when I read a sentence, does it affect demand or supply? And when you hear that orange juice is good for you, you're like, oh, give me more orange juice. I want
Yeah.
to live longer. Okay. Good for your heart, So if you demand more, sorry, so here's a demand curve. That means demand curve gets pushed out. Demand 1 to demand 2.
Mhm.
So that would be like going from like, is there an A to C? Okay, A to D. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the curves wrong. So it would be like an A to D.
Mhm.
These are so, I hate, these are really tough. That's an A to D, that's a push out of the demand curve. Or it would be a B to C situation. Because again, you're just moving out. So either of those on there, A to D, B to C. So hopefully you're seeing that it is, it's D to A or A to D.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, A to D. I know they're both there, but the direction matters. Like it has to be pushed out. All right. See really quick what we can get done. We did that one. All right, so here we go. Let's we did one like 13 earlier. We can do it real quick here. Time we've got left. All right, table above shows the number of cases of water each good is willing to sell at the prices listed. So this is the one where we made the total over here, and we want to do that again. So
Mhm.
it looks like it's the same numbers: the 0, the 300, the 600, and the 900 cases.
Yeah.
And so it's very much like what we just like. They're what they're now doing is they're giving you. They're saying, well, what's going on at $6? The table above shows the number of cases of water each seller is willing to sell at the price listed. Assume that the 4 suppliers listed are the only suppliers in the market. If the equilibrium price is $6, that's why we're focusing on that row there. Which of the following is correct? Well, again, quantity supplied has to equal quantity demanded. So the sellers are willing to supply 600, which means that the buyers are willing to also demand 600 in that
Yeah.
example. And that's the intersection of you've got supply and demand. So graphically what they're saying here is that 600 quantity, price of $6, like that.
Mhm.
Let's look at 16 real quick. Okay, so technology advancements in the market, they tend to make the supply increase. They shift the supply curve. Like if you can build a better thing faster, cheaper, whatever, you're going to supply more of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so your demand though may remain unchanged. So here's what we know for sure. We know that quantity went from, let's say, 10 to 20. We know that quantity got pushed out for sure.
Mhm.
But what we don't know is what happens to price. But we know for sure that quantity would increase for sure. Now, if supply is the only thing that changes, you can see that the price went from, it was at like $8 and now it's at $6.
Yeah.
Okay, so that went down, and we see that, price of TVs probably in your lifetime, your TVs have gone way down. I mean, you can get a 70-inch TV now for like $500 at Walmart. Quality might not be that good, but I mean, you can get, that used to be a several $1,000 item. So technology advances generally cause price to decrease and quantity to increase.